Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I'm pretty excited. FreeUp has partnered with Ecom Dash, and we always love partnering with other people in the space, people that do stuff that we don't do, because with us and our freelancers and our e-commerce talent that we have available, it's great to complement that with great software, great partnerships, and really the best businesses, the best e-commerce stores, the best Amazon businesses are a combination of that automation and the hiring great talent. So we'll wait a little while for more people to filter in. If everyone can hear me, maybe post a little note, maybe say where you're from, and we'll get started in just a second. Cool, yeah, so today's presentation is all about making your Amazon business more efficient. My name's Nate, I'm the CEO of FreeUp. If you haven't heard of FreeUp, we're a marketplace for pre-vetted e-commerce freelancers, and my whole mentality is to make your business more efficient. And I do the same thing with my business, always looking for ways to improve, to do more with less time, because at the end of the day, time is the only thing that you can't get back as an entrepreneur. So making things as efficient as possible, making it so the business can run without you, making it so that you focus on the higher level stuff, the sales, the expansion, the marketing, instead of a lot of the day-to-day operations. That's how you take your business to the next level. Liz, I don't know if you want to add something or say hi real quick, and then we can jump right into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited to be working with Nathan today. I think this presentation is going to be great. Of course, just to give a little bit of housekeeping, just wanted to, as Nathan said, make sure you add your questions in the right-hand side in that one questions labeled box. In addition, we will be recording this presentation and emailing out after the webinar today. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. And Nathan, I'll go ahead and let you take over and get started.
Awesome. Yeah, so as you know, Liz is a partner marketing manager at Ecom Dash. I'm the CEO and founder of freeup.com. And this presentation is all about making your Amazon business more efficient. So today's agenda, I'm going to go through product sourcing, product listing, customer service. Those are three areas that are probably the starting point of what you take off your plate as an Amazon seller. Although people start in different areas and every business is different, a lot of times the best place to start is with that initial sourcing, with the product listing once you have your products ready to go, and then taking the easy stuff, the customer service, off your plate, especially if a lot of you out there are running outside stores, maybe a Shopify store to complement your Amazon business. Getting that really solid customer service team is incredibly important. And then Liz will be going through Amazon reporting and metrics, order fulfillment, and inventory management, keeping in mind the whole goal is to how to make this more efficient and how to best utilize both the software and the freelancers. So where can you find products to sell on Amazon? There are so many different ways to source. And before I kind of dive into that, I like to talk about the three different levels of people that you can hire, because it's important you understand. I've seen a lot of people hire the wrong level, especially when it comes to that product sourcing, and have a very, I would say, difficult experience. So the three different levels are basic, mid, and expert level. Now, basic level freelancers are non-US. They're $5 to $10 an hour. They might have years of sourcing experience, especially if you use FreeUp that only hires talented or experienced freelancers. But they're there to follow your system, your process. And with the thousands of Amazon sellers out there, everyone has a different system. Even if you use one of the courses or one of the gurus and you're using their system, it's not going to be exactly the same. So you have to show them how you want it done, your systems, your processes. You have to be able to give them feedback, tell them what you like, what they don't like, when they find a product that's a great fit, when they don't. The mid-level freelancers are more specialized, and usually they don't have to do with product sourcing. I usually say that product sourcing, you're either getting an expert or you're getting someone that's a basic level to follow your direction, because mid-level is so specialized. These are people that do the same thing 8 to 10 hours a day. Usually they're graphic designers, they're bookkeepers, they're writers. You're not teaching them how to do it, but they're not consulting with you either. They're just straight doers. So I guess the best example of a mid-level specialist would be a Chinese sourcing agent, which we have on the FreeUp platform. they're coming in, this is what they do all day. They negotiate deals, they source, and you're hiring them to do that specific thing, but nothing else. And then you got the experts. These are people that 25 and up, US or non-US, they have years of experience. They're there to bring their own systems and processes to the table, to consult, to audit your business, audit parts of your business, even help create the systems and processes that you can then pass over to the basic level freelancer. So when you're going about sourcing, a lot of times you have to figure out, do I want that person in the $5 to $10 an hour range that's going to take a little bit of my time that you're going to have to invest into them from the beginning, but at the end you're going to have someone who can follow your system, your process to find those products? Or are you at the point where, hey, I need to hire that expert to come in and help create a process that works for me? And you almost have to think of it as a collaboration. You're working with this person because they're a freelancer. They're going to have other clients. Every client needs a different thing. They're in a different category. They have a different price point. They're at different stages in their business. So you need them to come in and take a look at what you're doing and really consult and figure out the best plan from there. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I feel like especially when you start hiring and sourcing it is obviously the initial part of getting on Amazon. You really need to figure out what level you need. Are you someone that has your systems in place and you just need someone in there to get you out of them so you can focus on bigger things? Do you have that one specific task that you need to get done that you can hire a specialist to just do for you? Or do you need more of that direction where you need that expert to come in and really create a plan for you? So we posted 3 ways here: researching what's already working, checking out Amazon's bestseller list, and obviously researching Google Trends. But we know that there's just so many ways to source, whether it's getting products from China, whether you're doing wholesale. I did drop shipping for years, which is a whole new business model that's getting tougher and tougher to do on Amazon. So there's lots of different ways to source. What matters is figuring out a system that works for you and the level of freelancer that makes sense for you. So I never want you to feel like you have to do sourcing alone. We work with tons of clients that do it. They just understand what level that they need. Figuring out where you're sourcing from is obviously incredibly important as well. Kind of figuring out where you fall in line with your competition. The thing about sourcing is it's forever changing. So very rarely are you going to come up with a system and you're going to put someone in it and just have them do that for the next 4 years. You're going to constantly want to evaluate and tweak. It's almost like sending out sales pitches. What might work for 2 weeks, and I did this a lot for contacting suppliers, might not work again in a month. You're going to have to tweak. So figuring out, hey, am I building relationships with people online? Do I actually have to go inside the stores? Am I going to be looking at my competition? Is my competition going to adjust to me? You can use freelancers in a lot of different ways to do these things. So one of the ways that I was able to get over 500 manufacturers for my Amazon business is, yes, I had people that were doing research and they were going through and looking at my competition. They were going through bestsellers on Amazon and making a list of companies that we should reach out to. But I also had a lead generation team to complement the product sourcers. So they would go to the competitors' websites. They would look, hey, do they allow selling on Amazon? I would grab their best contact information. And then I would have emails and I would do split testing with those emails. And so I would see what was working, what was not working. I would tweak the emails over time. I would have people doing 90% of the physical labor, and I would be checking in and giving feedback. Hey, you shouldn't have reached out to that person for this reason. Hey, next time you get this information, make sure you grab this other email address. Don't just grab that one. Just constantly giving them feedback so that they can improve the process. So I think you can think outside the box a little bit when you're sourcing. I know when a lot of people think of sourcing and hiring freelancers, you're hiring someone cheap to go through a set of products and pick out what sells and what doesn't sell. But there are a lot of creative ways that you can build more long-term sourcing relationships, whether it's the lead generation system that I just mentioned, or getting that sourcing agent in China that can build those long-term relationships, or coming up with your own system, your own process by hiring one of those experts to come in and figure out what makes sense for you with your budget, with your business. Liz, I don't know if you have anything to add there before I move on.
No, I think that you actually covered everything. I think you're right. It really depends on the level of expertise that that they're looking for, and basically what is your company, where are you at, and where do you want to go. So I think you covered everything.
Perfect. Yeah, and we talked about bringing that product expert in for strategy. I mean, we live in a pretty cool time. So this is the gig economy time where over the next 10 years, over 50% of the workforce is going to be remote, which is pretty crazy because if you go back even 10 years ago, you would have to hire an expert for $150,000 a year full time to work in your office. You don't have to do that anymore. You can hire someone for an hour, for half an hour to come in and consult with you to answer your questions. And that, I think what a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand is that 1 hour consultation, yeah, it might cost you $50, $100, but it could save you thousands of dollars worth of mistakes down the line. So you can hire an expert nowadays to come in, to consult with you, to answer your questions, to even just audit what you're doing and let you know whether you're going in the right direction. You can then keep them in your back pocket and have someone that you can reach out to that'll bill you hourly. Maybe you keep them on a monthly retainer that's affordable, and they can guide you along the way. So you're no longer in this alone. You're no longer in the point where you have to hire 40-hour-a-week people and wonder, how do I keep them busy? How do I get the most out of them? And all the things that go with hiring a full-time employee. It's a pretty cool time. And I do the same thing with my business. I have a Facebook ad expert. I have an email marketing expert. And I don't work with them full time. There's some weeks I don't even use them. But just knowing that I have that expert in my back pocket, it helps me sleep better at night, but it also saves me thousands of dollars of mistakes down the line. Obviously, there are lots of different softwares that you can use when it comes to product sourcing. But what I would do is I would talk to the expert because they're the ones that have gone into a lot of different Amazon sellers' businesses. They've seen what software works and what doesn't work, and what works for certain sellers because they're in a particular situation that might work for others. So just getting that expert is a great place to start, especially if you're newer to the Amazon game and you're just getting into sourcing for the first time. So let's talk a little bit about product listing. Product listing is probably the second biggest thing that I see people struggling with, because a lot of times Amazon is constantly changing their algorithm and it's tough to keep up with it. On the same time, a lot of entrepreneurs have their own core competency. And if you're like me, my core competency is not writing. I'm very good at a lot of other things, but writing is not one of them. So hiring, usually here you're going with that mid-level or that expert level, where the expert level is there if you need more consulting, more advice, more direction. And the mid-level person is there if you just want someone to crank out that listing. So what I see a lot of clients do is they'll find a lister that they like. And that might mean putting in a request and meeting two different people, interviewing them, have them each write a listing or two and comparing and seeing who you like. And a lot of the bigger sellers out there, they'll find 2 or 3 different listing people they like, because remember, these are freelancers that have different clients, and their availability is going to go up and down depending on their workload. So they keep a reservoir of listers that they like in their back pocket because they know how important it is to have someone that knows how to find good keywords and look at competitors and create bulk listings. And they'll just have people in a group Skype chat, and whenever they need something, they post in there, and the first person that can get to it can. So there are, again, a lot of creative ways that you no longer need to hire someone full-time. You don't need to make those commitments. Obviously, if you have enough work for someone 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, lock them down so you get someone you like, but you can have someone that's there that can just create listings for you whenever you need them. And a lot of these top experts, they can do a lot of different things. They might be able to help you with the sourcing and the listing and the PPC campaigns. So getting that expert there is a great idea, especially if you're new. But if you just have listings to take off your plate, that mid-level person could be a good fit as well. If you're really far down the line and you have the systems and processes in place for the lower level worker, we do have clients that do that as well. But for that, you need that step-by-step process. Hey, this is how you create a listing for my company. And a lot of people will base it off the gurus. They'll have taken these courses, and the freelancers have as well, but then they'll customize it to make the most sense, or they'll adjust it over time to see what's working for them, because what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another one. Yeah, so we talked a lot about hiring an expert. Obviously, there's lots of great software out there that can help automate that process. Ecom Dash is one of them. Liz, I don't know if you want to jump in here and talk a little bit more about how Ecom Dash can complement a listing expert.
Yeah, so hiring a listing expert with Ecom Dash is actually a great solution. I don't know if I'm sure you're familiar with the various marketplaces and their requirements. So if let's say you do sell on Shopify or you do sell on eBay, you want to list those products to Amazon. Amazon has different requirements. They require an ASIN or they have a different category that doesn't match up. So there is still some data entry where, if you have an expert, they can get your Excel documents or your CSVs together and make sure that you have all the required fields, upload them into Ecom Dash, and then with the press of a button, you can list hundreds of listings at one time. So it really helps if you have a large catalog and want to get those listed, especially if you're listing from one marketplace to another. It's a great solution, and hiring a listing expert and being able to ensure that you have great product listings, whether that's the description or titles. So you want to make sure that your listings can get found, and I feel like a listing expert would really be able to help.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you have to remember is you can build a team of freelancers that complement each other. So you can have that listing expert that's creating the game plan, then have a bunch of specialists underneath them, whether it's someone who can make listings or do the graphic design or maybe the photography, but then also get those basic level freelancers and show them how to create the files the way you want or do that data entry input. So you're not paying $50 an hour for very low level work. So you can really get creative depending on your budget and how many people you want to manage and what your system looks like, to not only use the Ecom Dash software, but also have an expert and then mid-level people and then basic level people. If you're like me, I like paying people for what I consider their value. So I want the $50 an hour person doing $50 an hour work at all times. And same thing with the $5 an hour and $30 an hour people. So you can set that up in a way that makes sense for you. So customer service, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. When I worked in the Firestone Corporation years ago, this is during college, they put me through intensive customer service training. But what was awesome is when I started my first e-commerce business, I felt like I had this huge advantage because I knew how to talk to customers, how to keep them happy, how to keep them coming back. And I was scared to take customer service off my plate because I thought, who can do it as well as I can? I mean, these are my customers. At the end of the day, if I piss them off, I mean, what else do I have? There's no business. But once I realized that customer service was not the way to scale my business, I couldn't do customer service at $5 million a year and then expect to get to 10. It was a struggle to even do it at $5 million a year. So what I need to do was create a great customer service system. And it's tough, it's scary, but it's one of those necessary evils to get your business to the next level. So what I did was I started very basic. I outlined, hey, these are the type of emails that I get or the type of customer contacts that I get. Returns, asking for tracking numbers, irate client, whatever it is, really breaking it down. And then I had breakdowns of that. What are the subtasks of that? If it's a return to this supplier, how do I handle it? If they ask for a tracking number, how do I do it? What if the package was delivered late? What kind of refund do they get? Really map it out as much as possible. And you don't need the full thing right from the beginning. You can do about 80% of it. And as new emails come in, it'll joggle your mind and you'll think of new ones and you'll be able to add it there. But get that basic part there. And then circle the easiest things, because the goal at first isn't to just, hey, hire a 40-hour-a-week customer service person, boom, never do customer service again. The first goal is to just get hours in your day back. What would you do if you had 2 less hours of customer service every day? And then you can expand it from there. So I circled the easiest tasks, and then I hired a VA from the Philippines to just do those tasks only. And anything that was above that task, for now, they would just mark them as leave for Nate or tag them in my Gmail. And now I use Zendesk. So that's how it would start off. And I would have them create drafts. And before any draft went out, I would read it. So I would know whether they were doing a good job or not. But I would also be able to give them feedback. Hey, make sure you add a little bit more fluff at the beginning of the email. At the beginning of the email. Hey, hope you're having a great day, or thank you so much for contacting us, or hey, the customer asked 3 questions and you only answered 2 of them. Let's make sure that we always answer every single question the customer asks. And you give them feedback over time, because a lot of these VAs, especially if you use FreeUp, they might have 10 years of customer service experience. That's a lot of experience. But what they need to do is learn how you want it done, how you like customer service, how you treat your clients. And believe it or not, it is different than the way another person does. So you start with that system, you start with them having drafts, you approve the drafts. Eventually you get to the point where you don't need to check the drafts anymore, usually after a week, sometimes even less. And then as new stuff comes in, I would teach them one new type of email every day. And it goes fast because in e-commerce, you get a lot of the same type of email. So at the end of every day, they were learning a new email, a new email, a new email. After a few weeks, I was like, whoa, 95% of the emails are getting answered by other people. Every once in a while, I'd log in and they'd be like, hey, Nate, can you answer these 3? Or a lot of times it's like, hey, Nate, here's how I would respond to these 3 emails. Can you tell me if I'm on the right page? Because what I did is I said, hey, don't just come to me say, hey, I don't know how to do this. Say, hey, Nate, this is a new situation. This is what I'm thinking. This is an email I write. Is this correct or not? And then I could quickly correct them instead of having to just do the whole thing myself. And after a month, 2 months, you have these people that can do your customer service, and you feel comfortable. You've given them the right kind of training, and then you can take a step back and focus on other parts of your business. Now, we all know that Amazon is a 24/7 operation, and e-commerce in general, not just Amazon. So you can use that to your advantage, hiring people from the Philippines that work in different time zones, and there's plenty that work US times as well. But you might not need someone 40 hours a week. You might say, hey, let's log in 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, 3 hours at night. You can divide it up and have that schedule in a way that makes sense. Now, one of the things that really goes for life, but even more important for hiring, is you want to diversify in every possible way. You want to try to have one person for customer service, one person for listing, one person for return, for order placement, whatever it is. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they fall into this trap where they make a series of bad hires, and then they finally get someone they like. So what do? They just load them up with everything. Well, that's incredibly risky, because if that person quits, it could take you 6 months to replace them and your business stalls. So I even want to divide up customer service as much as possible. Instead of hiring one person for 40 hours a week, hire 2 people at 20 hours a week. Yes, it's a little bit more upfront investment in training, but if you think about it, who can work 365 days a year? No one. And the last thing you want to do is get thrown back into customer service because they need a day off, or they get sick, or God forbid they quit. You want to have those backups in place so you're always protected. So as an entrepreneur, you always want to think, how can I diversify? And one of the last things I'll say on here, if you're like me, I'm always checking my metrics. I'm always checking any claims that come in, my return rates, all that stuff. Getting someone to constantly check and know that they're monitoring it will let you sleep better at night. I know what I used to do is I would have someone, hey, at this point every day, you're going to check X, Y, Z. And if it's ever approaching this level, you're going to report it to me. Other than that, I'm not going to look at it, but you're responsible. And it's pretty affordable. It gives you a little bit more peace of mind, and it allows you to check other parts and focus on other parts of your business instead of constantly refreshing that page. So the other side of it, I mentioned hiring the freelancers, the Filipino freelancers. I would hire one US person, usually for the phone calls or the escalated situation. So by the time I got to year 3, I didn't even want to deal with any customer service anymore. I didn't want to do, no matter how angry the customer was, I wanted someone else that could handle it. So I hired a US person to complement the team in the Philippines. And that's when I integrated with Zendesk. And there's a bunch of different softwares out there, and you want to automate as much as possible. But then you have a system where, hey, the people in the Philippines, these are the type of emails and situations they handle. Anything that's higher, you escalate it up to the US person. And only if that US person can't handle it does it go to me. So it's almost like an extra layer of defense, which might be unnecessary for a lot of you, depending on where you are at your business. But it's something to start thinking about now, because a lot of times the best teams, just like we talked about before, have the expert, the mid-level, and the basic level. Sometimes the best customer service teams have the US and the non-US, and the expert and the basic level. So you really want to have that full diversity. So the key is you get your hours back and you don't constantly get pulled back into customer service. Liz, is there anything you want to add there before you take it away?
No, I think that, customer service is really the most important thing for an e-commerce business. I know reviews can just ruin a company. So if you can at least eliminate 50% of an angry customer just because you didn't get to them in time, or let's say, you had so many other tasks, it just fell through the cracks. That's where an expert or, a freelancer, like you said, in the Philippines can really take in and give you those hours back, but also protect your business's brand.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and move on to the next part. And you actually already mentioned it, is the Amazon reporting. I know that most sellers are focused on the logistics of selling online, from product sourcing, listing, and fulfilling. I mean, who has time to do anything else? And with those hours gone, you don't have time to look at the data. Reporting is probably one of the key points of success, knowing what's working, what's not working. And of course, analyzing that data will ensure that the time spent on the resources of product listing and product sourcing are, worth it. If you're sourcing products from a category that has historically low profits for you, but you just haven't taken time to check the Amazon data, I mean, is that money and time well spent? That's where an expert can really come in and give you that insight and make sure that you're spending the time and effort in the right places. And of course, you want to look at the listing of the products and make sure that, which listings are performing better. If this listing performed best, why did that listing perform better? And just continue to really tweak every single operations and make sure that you get your Amazon business as successful as possible. And of course, you want to keep track of those Amazon metrics to help you win the buy box and increase conversions. So, how can you find the data? Of course, you can download business reports from Amazon. That's only available for sellers with professional plans. You could use the Amazon Selling Coach, which is really an automated option for sellers. It really sends notifications to you, letting you know, hey, we identified opportunities, and it can maximize your effectiveness on Amazon. So here's a feature or product recommendation, or here's some suggested lower prices. And really, you can sign up for those email recommendations or download them in bulk from the Amazon Marketplace web services. And then lastly, even something as simple as looking at the Amazon's pricing dashboard. From there, you can see, okay, what are the lowest price options? What was the buy box price? What was my, last 30 days of sell history like? What's my sales rank? Those types of things. And just looking at that simple dashboard can let you know, hey, is my pricing strategy good? Is there something that I can tweak and improve my profit margins? So of course, you really want to look at the data and make sure that you're, tweaking every part of your Amazon business to get as good as possible. And how can you do that? Of course, you want to hire a freelancer. As Nathan discussed, there's, the lower level where they can just really compile all the data for you, or you can get more of an expert who can analyze the data. And, of course, Amazon Selling Coach is great, but once you get into those higher levels, you want more of an insight that Amazon Selling Coach can't give you. So with that, that's where an expert can come into play and really do a performance analysis. And then in addition to that, there are repricing tools besides, the Amazon tool that can really help you with your pricing strategy. Those are, of course, going to be an automation, an algorithm. Like Nathan said, those are not going to know your unique business and your unique business's needs. So that would always be a supplement to your own pricing strategy and maybe a freelancer. But Nathan, did you have anything to add to I know you were mentioning the Amazon reporting and how much you loved it and how important that was. Did you have anything to add here?
Yeah, I just love learning from other people. So for me, you can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. For me, I'm always trying to get feedback from other people, especially freelancers that have worked with other sellers. And so I'm always like, hey, what are other people using? What data are you using to help you in this process? Just constantly asking for feedback, asking for new ideas is so important. Some of the best ideas that have made me the most money or have cut me the most cost have come from other people because I created that culture of bringing ideas to the table. And a lot of times those ideas have to come with data or looking at data in a different way.
Cool. And yeah, so Amazon data, just the reporting and monitoring the metrics, I mean, that's the make it or break it for your business. And you want to ensure that you're really tweaking every single process, learning as much as possible, and moving your business in the right direction. Um, all right, so let's go ahead and move into order fulfillment. This is, a really big part of your e-commerce business, fulfilling your orders, making sure that, you're really getting the delivery speed and all those sorts of parts of the operations to fulfill your orders. And so wanted to give you some ideas to help you streamline your order fulfillment process. Of course, most people have heard of FBA by now, but if you don't know what it is, Amazon picks, packs, and ships your sales orders. They store your inventory in their warehouse. There's, of course, pros and cons to it. The pros, they handle the shipping operations, saving you time and resources. They handle the customer service and the returns. They also improve your chance for winning the buy box because, you're automatically eligible for Prime. And then, of course, they fulfill orders from multiple channels. So if you do have a business, in addition to your Amazon where you sell on eBay or Shopify and you want to route those sales orders to FBA, have them fulfill those, that's something that Amazon does. Now, of course, the cons, it is expensive. For sellers, whether they store your inventory, they also charge pick and pack fees, especially around the holidays. It can get really hard for a small e-commerce business to utilize the FBA service. Also, there's less control over your inventory. And then, of course, sending inventory to Amazon is a hassle. I mean, you do have to follow their specific requirements and prepare your inventory to send to the warehouse. In addition to the FBA option, you do have seller fulfilled Prime. And this is something that's really great for sellers who have the operations to handle this. Those who are not familiar with seller fulfilled Prime, it really gives your products the Prime eligibility, but instead of having to use the Amazon warehouse and services, you fulfill the order. Of course, the pros are the exact opposite of the cons for Amazon FBA. You save a ton of money on storage and operational fees. You also are able to have more control over the inventory and fulfillment. Of course, the downside is you do have to be able to ship those products in 1 to 2 business days. Amazon does require that you follow and make their customers not feel like they're getting subservice. And of course, from there, you have to have the manpower and resources to tackle that. In addition to that, you do have to handle all the customer service and returns where Amazon handle that with FBA. Lastly, one important note is if you do want to be a part of the seller fulfilled Prime options, you have to print the shipping labels within Amazon using their API. So either you can connect it through a third-party system or print them within your seller portal. And then, of course, moving on from there, how do you streamline those processes to use FBA and Seller Fulfilled Prime? Well, freelancers are going to be a great option for you. Hiring someone to just handle the printing for the Amazon orders for Seller Fulfilled Prime. Hiring a third-party logistics solution or a similar service to handle all shipping services, that is really more affordable than FBA. Of course, you can automate some of those processes with software. Fulfilling orders that aren't Prime, they can be imported into systems such as ShipStation or Ecom Dash. You can print your shipping labels, whether that's USPS, FedEx, or UPS, and use any other integrated shipping carrier. And then also, you can usually print your seller fulfilled Primes in those specific third-party solutions. Lastly, one big part is the multi-channel fulfillment. Really what that is like I was mentioning before, if you sell on eBay or Shopify, you want to send those orders to Amazon to be fulfilled, you need to do that and be able to send those rules. Having someone do that manually can take a lot of time. You can automate that through a third-party solution, such as Ecom Dash or something like that. But I'm sure there's a ton of freelancers that can help you, whether that's hiring them in your warehouse and being able to, hey, I need you to handle picking and packing, or I need you to handle the shipping labels and being able to print those from the Amazon seller portal. One big thing about using a software for the seller fulfilled Prime or shipping labels is, being able to import your orders into a third-party solution. You don't have to give those rights and really access to your Amazon account, which a lot of business owners really don't want to give individuals access to that account. But yeah, did you have anything, Nathan, to add to this?
No, it's just all about your process. When you get to this, I mean, your whole business is, as you get bigger and bigger, you have to focus on your process. You can't just have days where you wake up and you just do things as they come in. You have to systemize everything. And that means hiring different levels of people, automating different kinds of software, coming up with your documents, whether it's your onboarding documents for a new freelancer, whether it's a, hey, here's my 5-step process to create this listing. Really try to create documents, systems, processes, and that's really what's going to help you scale your business over time.
Great. And then finally, inventory management. Not everyone's favorite subject most of the time. It can be very complex and time really extensive. One big part of inventory management is restocking, and that's probably the make it or break it for Amazon businesses. If you don't focus on restocking and really strategizing when you order more products, you could oversell, and that's really could hurt your business permanently by getting your account suspended. So one big thing is just restocking, being able to forecast when to restock. When and how much inventory do I need to buy? And that can be based on your sales. If you find restock reports that focus on a 30, 60, 90-day breakdown, they can look at, okay, what were your average sales over the 30, 60, and 90 days? And what's your lead time to really, how long does it take for a supplier to get those products to your warehouse or your 3PL, and really averages all those various variants, and from there it really calculates, okay, this is how much you should buy in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, so you can ensure that you are having enough stock, but you're also not ordering too much stock. A lot of sellers will say, okay, well, I know this is a hot item, I'm just going to order X amount. The problem with that is you could order too much, have sell inventory, pay too much money in warehouse fees, whether you use FBA or a 3PL or your own warehouse, and really get into a conundrum where, I have all this sell inventory, now I have to get rid of it. Do I have to liquidate it now, or can I, maybe bundle it or something like that? Prevent that by being more strategic with your restocking. And of course, restocking is going to affect your buy box eligibility. Running out of stock is going to hurt your sales, but it can also hurt your ability to, be eligible for that buy box. And then, like I said before, you definitely want to prevent suspension. It is really hard to get your account reinstated, sometimes time consuming and sometimes not possible. And if Amazon is your only stream of revenue, you definitely want to be more focused on having a more strategic approach to restocking. In addition to that, inbound shipments. So as we mentioned before, if you are an FBA seller, transferring inventory to FBA isn't easy. So you want to keep track of that inventory. You don't want that inventory to be added into your product listings and show as a quantity available if it's on a transfer truck going to the FBA or the Amazon warehouse. You do want to also be able to send those product quantities updates out to your Amazon and other channels as soon as delivered to your Amazon warehouse. So really keeping track of that inbound shipment and really keeping track of just any moving inventory, whether that is to an Amazon warehouse or if you have an East Coast, West Coast warehouses and you need to manage both of those inventory levels. And then, of course, how do you streamline the process? There's a lot of inventory needs, whether that's restocking, syncing inventory levels as soon as something sells. Freelancers on the lower levels, you can hire as many as you want and really focus on streamlining your inventory management operations. In addition to that, you can get some more strategic freelancers, someone that has the expertise and can really look at trends and forecast and help you get an understanding of how to better manage your inventory, even down to the SKU management and understanding how to organize it. A lot of sellers don't even know where to start to organize their inventory and get ready to streamline the operations. In addition, you can use the software. Ecom is a great solution for those sellers who sell multiple channels. So if you need to manage inventory quantities across, Amazon, eBay, Shopify, we can definitely sync that automatically. In addition to that, you want to have a software that sends alerts when your inventory is low. This can keep you on top of those product levels, prevent running out of stock, and of course overselling. And then you can set rules to remove listings when inventory levels are reduced to a certain level. level. This will protect your company, your brand, and of course prevent some of those customer service issues that are dealt with, out of stock products. And then also handling multiple ASINs. Sometimes Amazon will have multiple ASINs for one product, whether it's by accident or not. This can make managing product levels for the one product difficult. So you want to be able to map those ASINs to one product and ensure that you don't oversell if you're trying to list each of those. But yeah, did you have anything, Nathan? I know that you said you drop ship before and just handling your catalogs with your suppliers and things like that. Definitely let me know if you use any freelancers to help manage that inventory.
I definitely did. So we built our own software. This was back in the day. But even then, you have to have someone overlooking that, looking for errors, making sure that everything is going as planned. And a lot of times you have SOPs for the software. Hey, this is what we check every day. These are the adjustments we do every day. Communicating with different teams so they're on the same page. Another example is we use App Eagle for pricing, but we have someone that we put in charge of managing App Eagle, and they know App Eagle better than anyone else. And the same thing for Ecom Dash. You want to get someone, even if you're training them from scratch, that just knows the software better than everyone else so that they're in charge of it, which is going to save you huge times and headaches down the line.
Great. And absolutely, I completely agree. I mean, freelancers are really a gold mine. From the beginner to the mid-level to the expert, there's always someone that can help you and, really help move your business along. Even if you start, like Nathan said, a couple of hours a week just to get some hours back in your day so you can sit back and be more strategic about your business and move it to the next level. Sometimes we get lost in the day-to-day and, the various tasks that come with e-commerce, but if you just step back and have more time to strategize, you can really move your business to the 3 million, 5 million, 10 million and on up, just like Nathan did. Definitely have some options there. But of course, let's go ahead and move into the inventory and the questions if you have any. Feel free to add those in the right-hand side panel, and we can definitely address those. And did you have anything right now, Nathan, that you wanted to add before we get to the questions?
No, I mean, we broke down the three different levels of freelancers. I talked about one of the common mistakes, which is not diversifying. Another common one is not setting expectations. So right after you set the hire, you tell them what they like, what you don't like, when the due dates are, what's expected of them. Really getting on the same page right from the beginning when you hire anyone is incredibly important. And we talked about that feedback loop, which is one of my favorite parts because I found it so effective. Both giving them feedback consistently and receiving feedback, because a lot of times those great ideas come from them and they're doing the day-to-day operations of your business. And the other thing I would just say is really identify what you want. Identify what tasks you want to take off your plate. Identify where your weaknesses are so you can hire mid-level and expert level people to come in and turn those weaknesses into strengths. But also identify what your perfect person looks like. How many hours a week? What price point? What skill set, what level, are they US, are they non-US? The more that you're able to define, hey, this is what my perfect freelancer looks like, the better me and my team are going to do at getting you that perfect person.
Great. And I believe that there aren't any questions. I didn't see any. If anyone has it, I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to add those in. In the meantime, I'll talk about our next webinar here, how to track your inventory costs, improve profitability. We'll be covering the cost of goods, how to really analyze that data and ensure that you're pricing your product to be profitable. A lot of times, especially I'm sure as Nathan knows with drop shipping, profit margins are very small, and you want to make sure that you are tracking every single cost, whether that's your seller fees or your listing fees or your drop shipping fees, whatever those are, whatever that may be. You want to make sure that all of those are included in when you're looking to price a product. But yeah, so that'll be June 27th at 2 p.m. Feel free to go ahead and register, and our co-founder and CIO Kevin Loomis will be presenting that. All right. And it looks like we don't have any questions. Nathan, is there anything else you wanted to cover before a wrap up?
Yeah, so real quick about FreeUp. We're a marketplace where we get hundreds of applicants every week, freelancers from around the world. We take the top 1% based on skill, attitude, communication. We let them in, and then we make them available to you guys. First come, first serve. It's free to sign up. There's no monthly fees, no minimums, no obligation. it's in our best interest to get you people you like. And we have 24/7 support on the back end, plus a no turnover guarantee. If they quit for any reason, we cover replacement costs and get you a new person right away. So that's really what we're all about. If you go to freeup.com with 3 E's, my calendar is right at the top. If you want to book a meeting with me, I am happy to help and talk about your business, your hiring needs. And if you create a free account and use the coupon code ecom-25 or just mention this webinar, you get a free $25 credit added to your account. And I look forward to helping a lot of you with your hiring needs.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate you being here. Nathan, I really do appreciate you offering your expertise. You have a great track record owning your own e-commerce business in college and those things. So, and really taking it to a $30 million business. So hats off to you. You really have a recipe for success. So thank you so much for offering your advice. And I hope everyone has a great day. And thanks again. And see you next time.
Thanks so much for having me, Liz. Thanks, everyone.